Hello, and welcome to my first and only mini podcast. My name is Ben Tremblay, and tonight I'm sitting here with my roommate Phil, um, and we're gonna have a brief conversation about um, his experience with moving schools and how he was able to deal with that, the methods he used, um, and here, Phil, I'm going to give you the mic so you can introduce yourself. Just tell us a few things about where you grew up and what your school was like over there.
Hi, my name is Philip Stewart. I went to 9 different schools, and I was born in the UK, and I went between there and the US, specifically California. And the reason I went back and forth is my parents had a business, and which just required them to move back and forth, so I went along with them. And transitioning was definitely a challenge at first. The only way I can explain the biggest difference with the school systems is that the American education system is set in rows. So if you can imagine, first through 12th grade set in rows, and the British education system is set up in more along like a column system, where they take bits and pieces from each grade, and then once you've done it all, you've graduated. So going back and forth between that definitely showed some gaps. When I came to the U.S. permanently when I was 14, I entered high school as a freshman, and I didn't. I was supposed to take geometry and all that. Sorry, I was supposed to take algebra 2 and those higher level math classes, but I didn't take geometry, which all these American kids took in middle school, but I didn't. I took algebra. So I had a gap, and I had to take these lower level math classes, even though I finished higher level math classes, and it really showed the difference of both countries and what they value and as priority for education when you're younger to set you up along the line in the future for higher education.
And what would be, for you, the one biggest challenge you had to overcome? Was it making new friends? Was it different schedule during the day when you went to school? Um, was it any one thing in particular that you had to overcome, and what was the strategy you used?
I would say the schedule definitely wasn't a big deal at all. If not, it was exactly the same. Um, Getting to school was different. When I lived in Europe, my parents didn't drive, so I would walk and take the train and take a bus, and that wasn't a thing I did in LA. There's no way I was going to make it to school on time that early in the morning. So that was definitely a big change, but I didn't have much power over that. I eventually learned how to drive, which I really didn't think I was going to learn how to do uh, at that age. Friends were easy to make. I didn't really have that much of a problem, but the language was definitely different. All these slang terms that you would see or that you would hear, English people say, kind of transferred over, and then people, when I came over, they were like, "What does that even mean?" So,
How long did that take you to like start speaking how we spoke?
well, let me just start off. I didn't have an accent or anything. I lost my accent when I was like super young and like one of my first moves, but it took me about like a year to stop saying words like I've been to this place. Like I would have saying I've been to this place. And other slang terms like in it. People say like kind of in it as like isn't it. So it was just small things like that kind of set me apart from everyone else, and that was a challenge. But I kind of grew to like that. That I was unique. I was had my own thing going,
So in
and
other words, you had more attention because you were foreign.
not so much I had more attention that I was foreign. That wasn't kind of the crux of it. I would say the crux of it was that I knew I had an experience that nobody else had. I had insight and I had perception into different, or just in different ways that people kind of, I guess, wouldn't have thought of. Just being exposed to, two different cultures, back and forth. Like, you really get a good blend of it, which is, you don't really see that often. So I think that was, it was kind of a silver lining. At first, it was a challenge, but through that challenge, it grew into, something I kind of just nurtured for.
All right, thank you very much, Phil. Once again, my name is Ben Tremblay, and this has been my first and only mini podcast. And I want to thank you, Phil, again for joining me. And all right.